Good day everyone. Today we'll be discussing general properties of construction materials. So before to mag-proceed sa ito ang discussion, this unit focuses on general properties of construction materials. Specifically, this unit covers origin and classification of construction aggregates, engineering classification of soils, physical and mechanical properties of soil, and suitable soil materials for construction, particle size analysis or sieve analysis, Atterberg limits, compaction principles and soil improvement, and soil classification systems and group index. So, unsa man na ang construction materials? In simple terms, mao na sila ang mga measurable characteristics that dictate how a material will perform if gamiton nato siya to build something. So, first here is strength. Strength is how much load can it carry before it breaks, and next is durability, kung how well can it withstand the weather or the chemicals over time, and density, how much does it weigh for its size, permeability, does water flow through it easily or does it act as a barrier, and stiffness, how much will it bend or deflect over a load, and workability, is it easy ba to mix or place and shape on a construction site. These properties are the deciding factors sa tanan in civil engineering. They determine the load-bearing capacity of a foundation, kanang kung makaya ba niya ang 2-story nga building house, 2-story house, or 50-story nga skyscraper. And they also tell us about a material's resistance to environmental conditions. Kung kani ba nga road pavement crack kung kani ba nga road makakaya ba siya og kanang, for example sa mga bugnaw nga lugar, makakaya ba siya og winter freeze. And lastly, i-dictate nila if suitable ba siya for foundations, pavements, and structures. And next, let's talk about the types of construction aggregates. The first one here is soil aggregates. Soil aggregates are the naturally occurring soil particles you'd find if magdag ka og hole. Dili siya kanang makita lang sa surface. And so, man nato ni siya gamiton. As you can see sa slide, magamit nato ni siya for foundations, for massive embankments sa atong highways or dams, para sa subgrades under sa atong mga roads, and lastly for general earthworks. And next we have the concrete aggregates. This includes the sand, gravel, or crushed stone, and ilang primary nga job is to be a filler sa ato ang concrete, as makahelp pod siya nga makahelp siya sa atong compressive strength sa ato ang concrete. And lastly, we have composite aggregates. As the name suggests, these are combination of different aggregate materials. Mura ni siya og kanang custom blend. Ilan ang ginabuhat para ma-improve ang overall strength and stability sa ato ang mix, and ma-ensure pod ang better load distribution. And next, asa man kagikan ng ato ang mga aggregates? First is, ay natay tulo ka main types of rocks. Ginganlan ni sa ato mga geologists og igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Igneous rocks kay they form from cooled and solidified magma or lava. Dahil these igneous rocks are often very hard and strong and durable. Manong excellent sila for crushed stone aggregates. And next, we have sedimentary rocks. These are formed from deposited sediments over time. Examples is sandstone, shale, and limestone. These rocks can sometimes be layered or bedded, which can affect their strength. And lastly, we have the metamorphic rocks. Ma-form ni sila when an existing rocks, igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks, if mabutang sila under an intense heat or pressure. For example, ato ang limestone, if na siya sa under heat and pressure, mahimo siyang it becomes a beautiful crystalline marble. So, ang first step jud is to understand the aggregates properties para masabtan nato ang mga next topic.
Hello everyone. So, mag-talk ta karon about sa soil. So, by definition, soil is a loose mixture of organic and inorganic materials, which is, ang organic na part is nagagikan ni siya sa decomposed organisms and plant debris, while the inorganic part consists of rocks and minerals that have been broken down by weathering and other natural processes. So, ganong need man ta makabaluwat is soil. Hindi na tumabalaan because we are civil engineering students, and tanan na na-build na structure or i-build pa is naka-anchor gid siya sa earth, which is the soil. So ang key engineering property sa soil is ang iyang shear strength or ang iyang shear stress nga kaya i-resist. And next is ang iyang stiffness or unsa kagahi ang soil. And lastly is the permeability. So nagadepende dire ang kung unsa nga type of foundation ang imong buhaton para sa imong structure. Nakadepende siya sa stiffness, permeability, and sa iyang shear strength. Whether shallow siya nga foundation or deep foundation. So, unsa man ang naa sa isa ka soil or soil sample. So, unsa man gid ang naa sa isa ka soil or soil sample. So, first is the solid phase, which is ang soil particle mismo or the soil itself. Mao ni siya ang mineral or rock fragments that form the framework of the soil, and diri gikan ang strength and structure sa soil. Second is the liquid phase. So nganong naa may liquid phase or water ang soil? It is because the soil is exposed to the environment, which is diya gikan ang water and soil has gaps. So diya mosulod si water, and pag mapuno na ang soil or di na niya makaya og absorb ang water, mag-start na dayon or diya na mahitabo ang water runoff pag 100% na siya saturated. So the third one is the gaseous phase or ang air, which is also known as voids. Mao ni siya ang gaps mismo sa soil particles. Nagadepende ang amount sa gas sa water content sa soil. So kung mas dry ang soil, mas daghan siya gas or voids. So there are three types of aggregates. First is the coarse aggregates or ang granular soil. Next is the fine grain soil, and third is the organic soil. First is the granular soil. Under ASTM D2487, ang granular soil is ang soil na more than 50% ang ma-retain sa sieve number 200. Meaning, dagko ang iyang size na mao ni ang reason nganong di siya makalapas sa sieve number 200. So, ginaklasify po ni siya ang granular soil aggregate into two categories, which are gravel and sand. So, ginaklasify rin siya based on the dominant particle size. Second is the fine aggregate or the fine grain soil. So, mao ni siya ang soil particles na more than 50% ang mulapas or mupas through number 200 sieve. So, it is categorized as silt and clay. ASTM distinguishes them using Atterberg limit to determine plasticity, which is very important and we are very much familiar with since manaman taog take of soil mechanics last semester. Last is the organic soil. From the name itself, it is a soil that are identified by the presence of decayed plants or animal matter. ASTM classifies a soil as organic material if its oven-dried liquid limit is less than 75%. So most of the organic material is typically dark and napud siya smell or odor, and is highly compressible, which is not ideal para buhatan og foundation or buhatan og project above it kay dili niya makaya og support ang isa ka structure. So let's talk about the engineering properties. First is the granular soil or the coarse grain soil. It is high in shear strength, which is derived from internal friction and particle interlocking. High permeability, low compressibility, and non-cohesive, meaning it does not stick together. It is prone to erosion or collapse in vertical cuts. Next is the fine grain soils. Low permeability, high cohesion, meaning particles stick together, allowing for molded shapes and steeper temporary slopes. Consolidation subject to slow long-term settlement as water is squeezed out over the years. Volume change, high plasticity, clay. It shrinks significantly when dry and swell when wet, risking foundation drainage. Last is the organic soil, which is extreme compressibility, low shear strength, and secondary compression. It continues to settle indefinitely as organic matter decomposes. So meaning dili siya stable. And it has high water content, often holds a massive amount of water relative to its solid weight. That would be all. Thank you.
Good morning. Mag-proceed ito sa topic sa soil classification. Ang soil classification kay muna ang process of grouping soils based on sa size niya, composition, o sa engineering properties. Importante siya sa construction. Yung soil serve siya sa foundation of all structures. Also, engineers study soil behavior to ensure the safety, stability. Sa soil classification, ang iyang importance kay ma-determine nato ang strength and load-bearing capacity sa soil, o ma-evaluate nato ang drainage and permeability characteristics. Ma-identify po nato ang soil stability under loads. Ma-prevent po nato ang structural failure due to poor soil conditions. Anong mag-matter ang atong particle size? Mag-matter na siya sa atong strength, drainage, ug stability. Strength, larger particles like gravel and sand provide better load-bearing capacity, while smaller particles like clay are weaker and more compressible. Sa drainage naman, coarse soils allow water to pass easily, while fine soils retain water, which may cause swelling or weakening sa fine soils. Mag-retain ng water para sa mga clay, mag-retain na siya water. Sa coarse soil naman po, dali na siya kay lagko man siya, tapos lagko yung mga voids, unang paspas na siya travel. Stability na po, well-graded soils with mixed particle sizes provides better stability compared to uniform soils. Na to ma-apply ang soil classification. Ma-apply nito siya kaya ang soil kay essential siya sa construction, sa foundation, including both shallow and deep foundations, as it supports the structural load. Is also important in pavements and road constructions, where soil provides the base and affects durability and performance. And in addition, soil plays a key role in embankments and earthworks, which are used to create stable ground elevations. Soil is also critical in the design and stability of retaining walls and dams, where it must be safely resist pressure and prevent failure. Now, karon ito na application niya kay sa foundation, sa pavement and road construction, embankments, and earthworks, tapos sa retaining walls and dams. Sunod sa soil particle size classification, na-mention naman ganina ang coarse o yung fine grain soils. Ang coarse grain soils muna siya mga consists of larger particles, have excellent engineering properties, such as good drainage and high load-bearing capacity sa mga mention kanina. Sa fine grain soils naman nasa yung mga smaller particles and behave differently compared to granular soils. Dapat tayo classification nga maingon na to nga coarse grain siya or fine grain. Una, sa coarse grain sa gravel, particle size niya kay larger than 2 mm, muna itong matawag mga gravel. Also, mga particles pass through 75 mm sieve, ma-retain sa 2 mm sieve. Kabalo ng tanong sa sieve, kaya nakagi naman ta sa geotech o testmat. Also, ang kanang gravel kay mostly found in riverbeds. Ang iyang properties kay excellent load-bearing capacity, good drainage, low compressibility. Sa sand naman ang iyang size kay 0.075 mm to 2 mm. Natay duha ka klaseng types, of sand, coarse sand ug fine sand. Ang coarse sand, ang iyang particle size kay 0.425 mm to 2 mm. Sa fine sand naman, 0.075 mm to 0.425 mm. Ang iyang properties kay good strength, good drainage, suitable for foundations and pavement layers. Also, na note hindi natin nikalimutan na ang granular soils are permeable and incompressible, making them ideal for construction use. Timandaan ito na. Sa fine grain soils naman, natin si silt. Ang iyang size, para matawag na siya nga silt, kay 0.002 mm to 0.075 mm. Ano siya nga, mga particles nga di kita ito makita sa itong mga mata. Nato yung properties, no? Low strength when wet, kay lagi dali ra siya mo settle. Moderate ko yung compressibility, tas poor drainage, kay lagi grabe ka fine maglisod og agyaw mga tubig. Sa clay naman sad, ang yang size kay less than 0.002 mm. Muna atong pinaka very fine particles. Ang iyang properties kay plastic and cohesive, high compressibility, poor drainage, I can expand and shrink with moisture changes. Note now, clay soils can be used. Clay soils can cause structural problems if not properly treated. Size analysis is a laboratory test used to determine the distribution of soil particle sizes. Purpose niya kay ma-determine na to particle size distribution, ma-classify na to ang soil according to standard system, identify soil strength and drainage characteristics. Particle size analysis includes sieve analysis and hydrometer tests. Makita na ito dito sa table, no? Nasa ang likod, sieve analysis. Ito yung mga sieve number diri. Sieve number ay selected borrow, grading A. The sieve analysis is used to determine the particle size distribution of porous grain soils, gravel and sand. Ang importante kay sieve analysis, no, kay kabantay mo gina sa atong sand, sa atong clay nga grabe kagamay iyang particle size, mao pa to 0.00 something. Lisod na siya sukbon gamit ruler. So muna na ay sieve analysis, kay dito na ito ma-determine kung clay na ba siya. So na yung mga table dito sa sieve analysis usually itong ginagamit nga makita nato nga sieve analysis, no, kay number 4, number 10, number 40, number 200 nga sieve analysis. Sa panpod sa atong sieve analysis natay procedure. Una ito buhaton, dry the soil sample. Before di ana, syempre magkuha tong soil sample, mag-soil sampling ta sa atong panggamiton ka soil testing, soil sampler nga equipment. Tapos i-dry nato ang soil. I-weigh na po natin ang soil sample. Then ato nang i-arrange ang sieve from largest to small sample nato nang ito na siyang itagana ipatong-patong ang pinakataas kung na itong pinakadako. Dayon, i-place na to ang soil sample on top sieve. I-shake na to using mechanical shaker or kita mano-mano. So sa geotech na mo, mano-mano raman to, no? Kami shake na to. Ang timer dayon. So din nga procedure kay i-weigh na to ang soil retained on each sieve. Makalculate na ng percentage retained and percentage passing.
So, kaning hydrometer test, same rin siya sa sieve analysis. Ang nakalahi lang is ang particle size nga ilahang gina-measure. Kay kaning hydrometer test sa mga finer na ni siya na mga soil particles. So, if imuhang soil sample kay na ay more than 10% nga passing sa sieve number 200, usually ginakandak ning hydrometer test. So, unsaon man ni siya pagkandak? So, magkuha ka og dry nga soil sample sa nagpass sa sieve number 10, mga 50 grams lang. Tapos, i-mix din mo siya with dispersing agent. Usually, ginagamit is sodium hexametaphosphate. Tapos, gamay nga distilled water para mag-prevent lang sa clumping. I-soak din mo na siya for at least 10 minutes. Pero much better if dugay, like mga 8 to 16 hours. So, after nimo siya ma-soak, i-transfer din mo siya sa sedimentation cylinder. Then, dungagan din mo tubig up to the 1,000 ml mark. Then, tabunan din mo ang top. Then, ibali-bali din mo siya for 30 times over 1 minute. And then, magkuha din ka og reading. So, ibutang nimo ang hydrometer sa sample. Mag-wait lang din ka og mga 10 seconds para ma-stabilize lang tong hydrometer nimo. Magkuha din ka og reading niya. So, din ka og time interval nga mag-take ka reading. So, narana sa inyo ha if unsa ka dugay or pila interval ninyo sa pag-reading. After din ana, yung din i-analyze ang inyuhang mga reading. So, after ninyo makuha ang results sa inyuhang analysis, i-plot din nato siya sa gradation curve para makita gyud nato unsa ang particle size distribution sa katong mga fine. And then, ato din siyang i-identify unsa siya nga grade na soil. If well graded ba siya or poorly graded. So, ingato lang ang hydrometer analysis. So, diri na pud ta sa liquid limit or plastic limit tests. So, kabalo naman ta ning liquid limit o plastic limit no gikan sa ato ang geotech. So, ang liquid limit is a moisture content in which a fine-grained soil transitions from a plastic state to liquid state. So, muna yung water content niya before lang siya memo tubigon. Tapos, plastic limit, moisture content ni siya at which a fine-grained soil transitions from a semi-solid state to a plastic state na dili siya mag-crumble. So, ingato lang siya. So, sa kaning table, no, makita nato ang summary sa geotechnical requirements for soil and aggregate materials na gamiton sa road construction. So, kani sila, gi-follow nila ang standard specification sa DPWH katong sa Blue Book.
So, good day everyone. Before we proceed to soil classification, let us first talk about unsuitable soil materials. So, what are unsuitable soil materials? So, unsuitable soil materials are soil containing quantities of organic material such as grass, roots, and sewage. These soil materials are highly organic such as peat and muck. This soil also has a liquid limit exceeding 80 and or plasticity index exceeding 55. Also, it has a natural water content exceeding 100% and with very low natural density up to 800 kilograms per cubic meter or lower. These types of soil cannot properly be compacted as determined by the engineer. So, the common unsuitable soils include organic soils, peat, highly plastic clays, slits with poor drainage, expansive soils, and loose saturated sands. These unsuitable soil materials also exhibit low shear strength but high compressibility excessive moisture retention, and poor drainage characteristics. These characteristics may be caused by settlement, instability, or structural failure. These unsuitable soil materials are generally avoided in structural foundations and pavement subgrades for various reasons. Unsuitable soil materials may lead to differential settlement, excessive deformation, reduced bearing capacity, swelling and shrinkage, pavement cracking, and foundation instability. So you could use some engineering solutions to solve these problems regarding the unsuitable soil materials. So it includes soil replacement, mechanical compaction, chemical stabilization for your lime or cement, drainage improvement, geosynthetic reinforcement, and deep foundations. So let us now proceed to soil classification using the AASH2 system classification. So we have here the table for the AASH2 classification system. We have group index A1 to A7 and then A8 for organic materials. For your group index computation and classification, here are the general guidance. So first, the group index computation of the AASH2 soil classification system has 8 major groups from A1 to A7 with several subgroups and then organic soils at A8. The required tasks for these types of soils are sieve analysis and Atterberg limits. The group index is an empirical formula used to further evaluate soils within a group or a subgroup. So we have here A1 to A3 are granular soils, which has percent passing in the sieve number 200 less than 35%. A4 to A7 are silt and clay materials, which has percent passing in sieve number 200 greater than 36%. So for A1 to A3, using LL and PI separates silty materials from clay materials, but this is only applicable for the A2 group and its subgroup. For A4 and to A7, using LL and PI separates silty materials from clay materials. So the original purpose of this classification system is used for road construction or your subgrade rating. For your group index computation and classification, here are the general guidance. So first, the group index computation of the AASH2 soil classification system has 8 major groups from A1 to A7 with several subgroups and then organic soils at A8. The required tasks for these types of soils are sieve analysis and Atterberg limits. The group index is an empirical formula used to further evaluate soils within a group or a subgroup. So we have here A1 to A3 are granular soils, which has percent passing in the sieve number 200 less than 35%. A4 to A7 are silt and clay materials, which has percent passing in sieve number 200 greater than 36%. So for A1 to A3, using LL and PI separates silty materials from clay materials, but this is only applicable for the A2 group and its subgroup. For A4 and to A7, using LL and PI separates silty materials from clay materials. So the original purpose of this classification system is used for road construction or your subgrade rating. Here we have the group index computation formula. We have GI, or your group index, is equals to F sub 200 minus 35 times 0.2 plus 0.05 times your LL minus 40, and then plus 0.01 times your F sub 200 minus 15, and then lastly times PI minus 10. So the first term is determined by your LL, and the second term is determined by your PI, or your plasticity index. In general, the rating for pavement subgrade is inversely proportional to the group index, or your GI. So without further ado, let us move on to an example for your group index computation. So we have here example number 1. 95% of soil passes through this number 200 sieve and has a liquid limit of 60 and a plasticity index of 40. So, we will be classifying this soil according to the AASHTO system. So, natay given nga PI, which is 40, ang ato ang LL is 30. Atong i-input ni sa formula, so, kaning F sub 200 is just your percent passing sa imuhang sieve number 200. So, atong percent passing is 95%. And then, imo na din input po sa LL, which is 60, and your PI is 40. Calculating that, we will get 42. So, ang ato ang classification ani nga soil, balik to sa ato ang AASHTO table is A-7-6, which has a GI of 42. Nganong A-7-6 kay ang ato ang PI nga 40 is musulod siya sa ani nga subgroup sa A7-6, which has a minimum PI of 11. So nganong di mo siya masulod sa A4, A5, A6 kaya ang maximum sa A4 is 10 lang, sa A5 10, and sa A6 pwede siya ma-minimum nga 11, but then iyang liquid limit is 40 ang max. Pero ang ato ang given na liquid limit is 60, so dito siya mahaom sa A-76 nga soil subgroup, and then which has a GI of 42. So yan na nakadali ang group index computation and classification. And then moving on to the application and importance of soil classification in construction. So, these are used for foundation design, for determining your carrying capacity. It predicts settlement behavior and identifies compressibility and shear strength. Soil classification also is the foundation of the geotechnical design. It reduces structural risk, improves safety, and cost efficiency. And also, it is essential for sustainable construction, which is mga tong gina-aim yun these days. Kaya sa modern construction, naka-anchor na to ang profession sa sustainability. So, that would be all. Thank you.
So, let us talk about compaction test of soil based on AASHTO T99 or T180 and ASTM D698 or D1557. So, what is soil compaction? It is a process of increasing soil density and removing air, usually by mechanical means. It is achieved using rollers, rammers, and etc. It is essential for earthworks and foundation stability, and to compute for density, we use this formula: rho, or density, is equals to mass over volume. So why do we compact soil? We compact soil for purposes such as increasing shear strength, reducing settlement, decrease permeability, improve bearing capacity, reduce compressibility, and minimize volume change. Now, what is compaction test? It refers to the controlled densification of soil by rearranging its particles at various moisture levels, from slightly dry to very wet, using a specified amount of energy applied in a standardized procedure. It is used to determine the amount of mixing water or optimum moisture content OMC and maximum dry density MDD. So, compaction test is essential because when soil is not compacted properly, it offers poor load support as seen here, while compacted soil improved our load support. And results of poor compaction may be basement and pool cracks and leaks, slab cracks, pipe leakage and breaks, foundation erosion, under abutments erosion gullies, utility trench settling rather. And what is moisture compared to soil density? Moisture content of the soil is vital to proper compaction. Moisture acts as a lubricant within soil, sliding the particles together, while too little moisture means inadequate compaction and the particles can't move past each other to achieve density. But too much moisture leaves water-filled voids and subsequently weakens the load-bearing ability. The highest density for most soils is at a certain water content for a given compaction effort. The drier the soil, the more resistant it is to compaction. In a water-saturated state, the voids between particles are partially filled with water, creating an apparent cohesion that binds them together. This cohesion increases as the particle size decreases. So let us go back to what compaction test is as discussed earlier. For its procedure, we first prepare a representative soil sample, add a known amount. Second is add a known amount of water to the dry soil sample to achieve a target moisture content. Third, we compact soil in the mold in 3 equal layers. Fourth, roughen the surface between layers to ensure proper bonding between the soil particles. Fifth, we remove the soil from the mold, take our representative sample, and dry it in an oven to determine exact moisture content and dry density. Sixth, we repeat steps at least 4 to 5 times with increasing amount of water to establish a proper compaction curve. And last, we plot the curve to determine OMC and MDD. So after performing the procedure with several iterations, we can plot the curve for the compaction curve. This is an example of what a compaction curve looks like after we have already performed several iterations. So ang interpretation ani nga curve is that ang left side sa ato ang peak kaning pinakataas sa ato ang curve is mo na siya ang dry side sa ato ang optimum moisture, while ang right side naman sa ato ang peak kay mo represent sa wet side sa ato ang optimum moisture. Ang peak gid mismo kay mo ni siya ang represent sa most efficient moisture condition para sa ato ang compaction. Ang maximum dry density nato or MDD kay ang highest point sa curve, while ang optimum moisture content is ang corresponding nga moisture content anang kuan pinakataas nga point sa curve. So manita diri sa kuan sa kaning optimum water content ang diya sa imong x-axis nga the correspond sa anang highest point sa imong peak mo na ang ato ang kuan ang optimum moisture content.
Good day, everyone. I will be discussing about the California bearing ratio, or what we commonly call the CBR test, under its equivalent AASHTO standard P193. So, unsa man gid niya ang CBR? The California bearing ratio is a method of evaluating the relative quality of subgrade, subbase, and base soil for pavements. Kini nga test tells us kung unsa ka kusog or kamaayo ang quality sa atoang soil. Kung kaya ba niya i-support ang mga loading sa atoang road or pavement structures. Now, let us look at how we compute the CBR. The formula is CBR equals test unit stress divided by standard unit stress multiplied by 100. So basically, i-compare nato ang stress nga nakuha sa atoang soil sample against a standard stress value. Now, ang mga stress value is given sa AASHTO P193. Maun ni ang every 1 inch penetration, the standard stress is 1,000 PSI or 6.89 megapascal. And then at 2 inch penetration, the standard stress is 1,500 PSI or 10.34 megapascal. This indicates nga the higher the CBR value, the better ang quality sa soil. Mauna nga kani nga test is very important in pavement design. Now, the CBR test follows 3 main steps. Remember this to look a step. Step 1, compaction. The soil sample is compacted using 65 blows per layer. This simulates the actual field conditions sa atoang soil. Step 2, soaking. After compaction, the sample is soaked in water for 4 days. Kini importante because it simulates the worst case scenario. The soil nga saturated with water like during the rainy season. Step 3, penetration test. After soaking, the actual CBR test is performed by penetrating the soil sample with a piston and measuring the resistance. For the soaking phase, we use a water tank. Especially, a soaking tank that maintains the water level at 25 mm above the top of the specimen. Importante kaayo ni nga i-maintain ang water level para ma-ensure nga fully saturated ang atuang sample throughout the entire soaking period. After soaking, the sample is placed under the CBR loading device. This is a compression type apparatus that is capable of applying a uniform increasing load at a rate of 1.3 mm per minute. Kini nga device ang nag-apply sa load sa atuang soil sample during the penetration test og nag-record sa resistance. Now, the load is applied through what we call the penetration piston. This is a metal of circular cross-section with a diameter of 49.63 mm, which give it an area of 1,935 mm squared. And it must be at least 102 mm long. Kaning piston ang nag-penetrate sa soil sample para ma-measure ang bearing capacity sa atoang soil. Now, dili ra nato basta-basta mag-test og CBR. There are required minimum CBR values depending on type of aggregate layer. We have, for item number 200, aggregate sub-base scores na siya minimum of 30% CBR value. And for item 201, aggregate base scores na siya minimum of 80%. Also, para sa item 202, crush aggregate base scores, minimum of 80%. And for item 300, gravel surface cores, na siya minimum nga 80%. As you can see, ang base cores and surface material require higher CBR values compared sa mga sub-base. Kini kay the higher the layer, the more load it directly carries from, for example, mga traffic sa roads. So, to summarize, the California Bearing Ratio Test is very essential test in road and pavement construction. It tells us kung ang atong soil is strong enough to carry the loads that will be placed above it. Without this test, dili ta makasiguro sa quality and safety sa atoang roads and pavements. So, that would be all for the CBR test. Thanks.
Good day, everyone. So, in this topic of Unit 2, we will be talking about abrasion test and its applications to construction materials. So, abrasion test is the test that evaluates the structural strength of coarse aggregate. It gives an indication of quality as determined by resistance of impact and wear. So, this test essentially gives us the resistance or the strength of our coarse aggregates when the aggregates are subjected to erosion or weathering. So to simulate this in a laboratory, we use the abrasion test, mostly using the Los Angeles abrasion test apparatus so that we can replicate of what will happen to our coarse aggregates in a real world scenario so that we can compensate of our concrete ratio so that before pouring we can know what are the properties and strength of our concrete mixture. So in this table, we can see the different sieve size, the grading and weight of this sample, and the different diameters of our spheres, and the number of revolutions needed in terms of the different diameters of aggregates that we will be using in this activity. So in the passing and retained, we have grading and weight of test sample 12, 11, 8, and 6. Those are the number of spheres that will be used during the abrasion test. So the abrasion test or the Los Angeles abrasion test apparatus, it is just like a cylindrical rotating mechanism that is subjected to ano where certain number of spheres along with the aggregate will continue to rotate like a blender so that it will kanang madugmok na bitaw siyang sugod. Ato rin ang maihap kung pila din ang nakaltas sa pagkadugmok sa atong aggregate so that we can see unsa gid kakusgan or unsa pud kawik ang atong aggregate nga magamit in this certain concrete mixture. Also in our abrasion test, instead of using the different number of spheres during the test, we can also change the composition of the spheres. Like we're using copper, lead, or steel. Mostly steel are used in the laboratory activity, and there are different densities of metals, so there will be different results. So in our case, we will be using steel spheres with weights up to 5,000 positive negative 25 grams or 5 kilos in the number of spheres of 12. In 11 would be 5,584 grams. In 8 spheres, we will be using 3,330 grams of the weights of steels. And in the least number of spheres, which is 6, we'll be using 2,500 grams or 2.5 kilos, the weight of spheres. So the procedures on how to do the abrasion test, there are three. So first is place test sample and abrasive charge in the Los Angeles test machine rotated at a speed of 30 to 33 rounds per minute at a minimum of 500 revolutions. Number two, at completion of test, discharge material from the machine. Sieve finer portion on the 1.7 millimeter sieve using the standard procedure of sieving aggregates. And number three, wash all materials coarser than 1.7 millimeters, dry to constant weight in the oven, 105 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius, and weigh to the nearest 1 gram. So when the abrasion test is done, we can compute for the abrasion loss. So the abrasion loss is the loss of weight per assumed estimate na lang para sa lost mass and lost weight sa atong aggregate. So kung pila ang na-erode sa iya, ato nang ma-calculate using the abrasion loss formula, which is abrasion loss in terms of percentage is equal to the original weight of sample minus weight of sample retained at 1.7 millimeter in a number 12 sieve times 100% all over the original weight of the sample. So other quality control for aggregates. Quality control for construction aggregates ensures concrete strength and durability through testing density, specific gravity, water absorption and gradation or uniformity. Key tests like ASTM C127 and C128 establish particle density range, moisture absorption, and gradation controlling for structural soundness, void space, and mix workability. So in this slide, quality control is very important to ensure that our concrete mixture is within the codes of the National Structural Code of the Philippines, in which that we will not compromise the structural strength of the concrete by not doing this test. So this test will gives us determination and assurance that our concrete is up to design, up to code, so that it will be uh it will perform as such as designed. So key aggregate and quality control measures. So we will be tackling five. So first is specific gravity. So specific gravity measures the ratio of aggregate weight to water weight, indicating particle strength and quality. Most construction aggregates range from 2.5 to 3.0. Low values generally indicate weaker, more porous aggregates. So specific gravity, it is just the ratio of aggregate weight, so the overall aggregate weight all over the water weight, which is standard, which is the density of water is 1,000 kilogram per cubic meter, or in terms of its unit weight, it's 9.81 kilonewton per cubic meter. So most construction aggregates range from 2.5 to 3.0. So this is very standard. So in the future, subjects that we will be tackling like geotechnical engineering, soil mechanics one. So we will be encountering a lot of this specific gravity will be when we will be calculating soil density, unit weight, or void ratios. Specific gravity or denoted as G is we will be tackling quite a lot of that in the future. So next is bulk density or unit weight. It defines the mass of aggregate needed to fill a container of a specified volume. It is essential for determining batch quantities and understanding the void content between particles, which affects cement paste requirements. So, unit weight, it is actually just mass multiplied the speed of gravity, acceleration of gravity, which is 9.81 meters per second squared. So when you have a certain mass, then you just need to multiply it with the acceleration due to gravity, and you will have your unit weight. Mostly, it is in the unit of kilonewton per cubic meter. So it is essential for determining batch quantities and understanding the void content. So void content is just the absence of soil mass or soil density in that part of area or kaning mga bangag-bangag sa to mga soil. So we can actually compute that using void ratio, which is denoted as E, and that E is equal to, we can actually use, okay, SE equals WGS. That is a very, one of the most standard formulas in geotechnical engineering. SE equals WGS. S is the saturation, level saturation. E is the void ratio is equal to the water content, which is denoted by percentage. And GS is the specific gravity, which we are talking about earlier. So we can derive many formulas from SE equals WGS, and we can compute for the unit weight using that formula or any other formula. And next is water absorption. Water absorption measures the porosity and capacity of aggregates to absorb water into their pores. Higher absorption rates typically can hinder concrete durability by affecting the water-cement ratio and freeze-thaw resistance. So water absorption is essentially the porosity or the uh yeah, porosity or the it's like acting like a sponge actually of our soil. When the when the voids of our soil is subjugated to moisture or water to fill those voids. So this is very important to tackle because when our soil is subject to uh, seismic seismic movements, our soil can actually liquefy. So that is called liquefaction. So this is very dangerous when structures under these soils, when the water content or the moisture content is very high, that it will cause liquefaction and causing our structures to sink. So proper soil investigation or geotechnical investigation must be performed in order to ensure that our soil is solid, and we can, as long as we can do this geotechnical investigations, we can change the performance of the soil in our area, construction area, so that it can withstand our load. Load maybe a bungalow or a second story, third story, fourth story commercial building, and the depth of our foundation in our structure. So water absorption or porosity, it is just simply the absorption rate of water of the soil. So this part typically can hinder concrete durability by affecting the water cement ratio and freeze thaw resistance. So freeze thaw resistance is very important in high temperate countries like United States, United Kingdom, because the changes in temperature of our surroundings. So in the Philippines, we don't have winter. So, but in example, in the UK, where winter is observed 3 months of the year, this is very important for them to analyze the water absorption rate of the soil because water has the ability to expand when subjected to lower temperatures, so in freezing temperatures. So compared to its liquid state, water will expand in its freezing state, so causing cracks when, example, if our soil is subjected to high moisture content or water content, so during winter, those water molecules inside our soil will expand, causing our soil to increase in volume. So that will also cause the soil to crack, and very much it will compromise our structure above it. So next is uniformity of aggregates assessed via sieve analysis ASTM C136 to ensure a proper distribution of particle sizes. Uniformity affects the packing density, workability of concrete, and overall void volume. So actually, when you are constructing you are constructing high-rise buildings, this is very important. The uniformity of aggregates. Also in a small project, but uniformity of aggregate, this gives us that ma-avoid bitaw nato ang honeycombing or pagkaampaw sa atong concrete. Kay kung dili same ang atong mga size sa atong aggregate, mag-jam man gid na siya sa atong formwork, sa atong mga bara, ay sa atong mga bars, yes, sa atong mga bars, sa atong mga bitaw, atong mga steel reinforcement. So dapat i-assure nato nga ang uniformity of aggregates must be the aggregates must be 75% of the smallest diameter of our formworks, ay of our steelworks, sorry, for our steelworks. Para makalusot bitaw atong mga aggregates dito kay kung di na makalusot, mag-create man og mga voids sa atong concrete nga mag-ampaw na atong concrete na pag-cure na after 28 days kung mag-ampaw na siya na pagtangkal ni sa imong formworks, magkuhan gyud baklas din mo, buko na pud ninyo, otro na pud mong buhos. So which is very not economically friendly. So para ma-assure nato ang uniformity of aggregates, ato na siyang i-assess via sieve analysis, ato na siyang salaon in terms of lahi nga diameter. So para makalusot din na itong mga aggregates sa atong mga steelworks, so salaon nato na siya. Pagkahuman dayon in kung dako kag budget, pwede nimo magpalit og kanang vibrator machine para makalusot bitaw ang mga aggregates sa atong mga steelworks. So we will subject the concrete mixture into vibration so that makalusot gid atong concrete mixture labaw na atong mga aggregates sa atong mga steelworks. Para pod ma ma-ensure nato nga ang packing density niya, iyang workability, so kanang smooth ra siya ma-pour, dili siya kanang lasaw kayo, dili pod kayo siya nga dili kay lasaw. Para pod dali ra siya mabuhos bitaw nato. So next is moisture state. So this will be the last one. Moisture state aggregates are tested in various states: oven dry, air dry, saturated surface dry, and wet to properly adjust the water content in concrete mixes. So moisture state is just the presence of water in your concrete, your aggregate, sorry, in your aggregate. So this is just very simple to how to get the moisture content of your aggregate. So actually, in our subject testing of materials, we have already in laboratory number 3, we have already performed the moisture content. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your sample, your aggregate sample in its wet state or it is in original state. So we will be after that you will take its weight of the original aggregate. Then we will subject that into heat by putting it in an oven for around 24 hours. So the temperature of the oven will range from 100 to 110 degrees Celsius to ensure the evaporation of water present in our aggregate. So after 24 hours, we will take the sample and then we will weigh it again in its dry state. So to compute for the moisture state, you just take the original weight of the aggregate, Original weight over. Okay, you take the dry weight all over the okay, original weight all over dry weight multiplied by 100%, so you can get the percentage of moisture present in your soil, in your aggregate. So knowing the moisture state of your aggregate, you can adjust the water ratio in your concrete mixture. So para dili ra kayo siya malasaw, masubra og tubig. Kay in concrete, kung masubraan nimo siya og tubig, it will not cure properly. Because in concrete, it's not about evaporation para mag-solidify atong concrete. It is just a chemical reaction between the cement and the water. So, mo nang kailangan nato i-adjust gid ang tubig para dili bitaw masobraan bitaw. Kaya kung masobraan nato na siya, mo-brittle man atong concrete, kanang mura siya pulburon. Na kung kulangan pod nato, mura gyapon siya pulburon. So kailangan gid nimo makuha ang ratio ba kay dali ra siya mabungkag kung kulang tubig na kung masobrang tubig dali ra pod siya mabungkag. So, pero after you mag-solidify na imong concrete pero dili pa siya fully cured, dapat ato na siyang i-subject to curing. So curing is just submerging your solid concrete, but not fully cured, into water to ensure that the concrete is fully cured adtud sa iyang tunga yun. Kay kung dili naman nato na manamanawon nga tong concrete nga uy uga naman na kay kanang sa gawas uga na sa tanawon pero sa tunga dili pa siya fully cured. Pasabot wala pa naka-penetrate ang atong water or wala pa gyud naka-react atong water sa atong cement to fully solidify. So atong ibasa or i-submerge pero mahal man kayong kung i-submerge atong tibok nato na concrete work sa kuan building. So atong ang ginabuhat sa field kay ilarang gina-sprayhan bitaw ang concrete or ilarang ginabasa para ginabasa nila kada adlaw para dili dali mag-uga atong concrete o para maka fully cure atong concrete. Kay kung dili nato na ginabuhat, muliki man gid atong concrete. Na kung muliki na siya, mag-cause na siya hairline cracks, then ma ma-compromise ang structural integrity sa atong concrete. Ikaduha pod ngano ginabasa kay labaw na sa Pilipinas nga grabe ka init. Kung you subject concrete to rapid evaporation or rapid heat, mabungkag na gid siya. Mo nang mga uban nga kanang mga ginalian nga manang mga uban nga nay mga projects nga dinalian, mga bungkag na nila mga columns ug beams kay ila ra gid kanang wala na fully cured or tungod sa kainit sa panahon sa Pilipinas kay naduol man gid ta sa equator. So ato po ng mga i-account ang mga changes in weather, unsa pa, changes in weather, mao ra guro changes in weather kay mo man ang mga isa sa tong mga ginatawag og uncontrollable circumstances. So that will be all.